Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Knew in the Moment, the podcast. I'm your host, Phil Friedrich, and today I am honored to have Melissa Ann Pollack with me. She is an actress and model and former Miss West Virginia competitor and winner, and excited to highlight her story. So Melissa Ann, thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Yes. So growing up, you had a love for dancing and posing as a kiddo, but you also had a little bit of a health concern growing up and had to wear a brace. So talk a little bit about those younger years and enjoying the dancing, posing, but also the injury.
Right. Yeah, I was very active from a young age. Yeah, dancing, all that. Always posing in front of the camera. But when I was in, like, I want to say sixth, seventh grade, we had a school nurse come and like check us out for scoliosis. So I had scoliosis, and it was like, seventh grade when that happened, actually. And so I had to wear a Milwaukee brace, which was, it was really hard on my self-esteem, everything at that time in my life, because I was always so, out there with dancing, cheerleading, anything you could think of. And, I'm just from a small town in West Virginia. So, so yeah, it was a pretty hard time, but I made the best of it.
Yeah. Now I think about that, and at that age, having something that you can hang your hat on, like a dancing, right? Whatever it is so important to our self-esteem. And to have that either taken away or, kind of reduced can be tough. So talk a little bit about having confidence early on, even when something like that was taken away from you.
Right. Well, like I said, in middle school, I wasn't quite as confident. However, I tried to do the best I could. I would push it to the side. Like I said, I still competed. I was in cheerleading. I was in dancing. I was, on the Charleston Ballet. I was a ballerina. I would do anything I could to actually take the brace off. So meaning that if I had these extracurricular activities, I could take it off, right?
Yeah.
So, but no, I still didn't have the confidence where I am today, of course, but that definitely made me humble, and it just, put everything in life in perspective at that point.
Yeah.
But it also guided me, to a great direction, and I wanted more, and knew that I could like set high goals and make things happen. But yeah, no, in middle school, it definitely, I mean, even, anybody in middle school, it's like sort of awkward kind of time. So for me, having to wear that back brace and everything, and it was very abstruse. It was like up to your chin, and down, and I would wear my clothes over it. But yeah, I know I still had friends. I was, I feel like I was socially, accepted and that kind of thing. But I mean, I had a few moments where it was really rough.
Yeah.
But like I said, I had support of my family and my friends, and I've always been a goal getter. So, it just it helped catapult me up.
Yeah. Now, speaking of go-getting, in high school, you get the opportunity to start doing some different modeling shoots and whatnot. So talk a little bit about how you got into the modeling world.
Yeah, okay. My first modeling was, yeah, in high school. I was selected to be on the team board, actually, and participated in, shows and that kind of thing. So actually I was in a store, and the owner of the store saw me, and then he urged me to apply. He was like, "Oh, we have a team board." So I did do that, and that's where I was like, "Oh yeah, I like this. This is really cool." So that's sort of how I got started, was in high school
Yeah.
with being on the team board. And then after that, I got hooked up with a few, agents, and, it was before all the social media and everything. So, I mean, I had, a great career with, fast with doing runway, doing commercials, doing also like commercial photography for different, whether it was kitchen and bath or spas or something like that. So yeah, I started that at about 18.
Yeah. Now, as you're going through high school, you end up deciding that you want to go to college and you want to be on the dance team. So Marshall is where you head. So talk a little bit about making that decision and getting to dance at Marshall.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that actually made me go in that direction too. Like I still was in school because I was doing like pre-nursing kind of things or medical lab and ended up switching. But yeah, I tried out, made it for on the dance team at Marshall University. And I participated on that for about a year. And I used all my dancing skills I'd had because I had been a dancer since I was like 9.
Yeah.
Been in all different from jazz, tap, ballet, and then like I said, I did the Charleston Ballet. Um, so that was fun. It was more of the like, current music, the pop music, and it was fun. I got a lot of national attention then. We had uh and it was like a big year for them. So yeah, it was fun, and we would travel and go to away games and had a lot of camaraderie, met a lot of great people. So yeah, I enjoyed that time in my life.
Yeah. Now, something with dance, and I mean almost any sport, but I think especially dance is it takes a lot of dedication because it's attention to detail, it's mastering very small and minute things because it makes a big difference. So talk a little bit about learning those skills and having that attention to detail, and then maybe, how that's parlayed into your life later on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just like you said, like focusing and just every move is, I mean, you have to be right on, spot on, and timing is everything. Well, timing is everything in life too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so, but no, I mean, it's just everything, and dancing goes along with anything else in your life. I mean, and for me, that was just like focus, you learn the skill, and you do the best you can, and you take it to the highest level that you can possibly, or your desires are, because everybody has different desires.
Yep.
And I feel like I did a good job at taking it to, the level that I felt comfortable with, because I went more towards the modeling route after that had ended, because I not only was on the Marshall University team, but I actually cheered for a semi-pro team, because we didn't have a pro team like
Yeah.
the Lakers or something,
Yeah.
because I'm from West Virginia, we didn't have any. So it was the next best thing. It was called the Gunners Cheerleaders, and so I did that, and I got a lot of national attention we were on ESPN, and I did a lot of traveling with that as well. So yeah, so it's just a lot of dedication, hard work, and it just catapult you again for the rest of your life with those goals and those aspirations.
Absolutely. So you're starting to take a couple of the pieces of your upbringing and your passions, and you bring them together when we get into the competition world. So talk a little bit about how you decided to get into the world of pageantry and competition there.
Yeah, well, my first pageant, I want to say, yeah, I was at Marshall, and I was this little Miss Thermal Regatta. It was like I could win $4,000 towards my nursing degree or something. So I was like, well, that's cool. So I applied for that, and I actually was in that, and got selected, and so that helped with my nursing career, so I liked that. And then I just took it to the next level, was in Miss West Virginia, and then Mrs. West Virginia as well. I won like 3 different things, so, and went to the nationals at all 3. For the Mrs. West Virginia National, I won second runner up in all the United States, and that one was held in Vegas. And we
Yes.
won't talk about the year right now, but yeah. But like I said, it's before social media.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to that, the world of pageantry is so difficult because you're highly scrutinized, right? I mean, well, we won't say scrutinized, but maybe evaluated, right? They evaluate you in a very in-depth level, and I think that could have the ability to derail confidence if we weren't confident yet. So maybe talk a little bit about, that part of pageantry, but also, growing your confidence and maybe where it came from in those younger years, like we talked about, to where it was at that point.
Well, first of all, yeah, for pageantry, yeah, wearing the brace actually helped me, because as the posture thing, right? Because it really helped me with my posture for modeling and for pageantry. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, the pageantry, it just You have to have self-discipline. I never took it too seriously.
Mm,
That's the thing. I mean, there's a lot, I've competed with a lot of people that it's just, they took it too seriously. For me, I mean, I take it serious. I mean, I'm dedicated. I get in the best shape that I ever could get in. I prepare with all the interview questions and I'm ready to take the stage. I'm not
yeah.
saying that at all, but it's like, it's hit or miss if you're going to win or not. I mean, it's, in the hands of 6 different judges that have all different backgrounds. And one day you may win, and the next day you may be fifth or
Yeah.
top 12 or whatever. So that's what I mean. Why I never took it so seriously that, that it derailed my confidence and everything. I would just pick back up and then go again. I mean, I was in a couple little things where I would get like, oh, second runner up, or, like top 12 before, I did actually win. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's all how you look at it.
Yeah.
I think that as long as you don't take it like, you look at it as a growing experience, because it's not like no one can be a pageant winner and actually do that for the rest of your life, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to look at it as a growing, learning, camaraderie with other women, and learning from different parts of the country and life. So like I said, I took it serious, but I never took myself so serious where I would be like, oh, if I don't win this, I mean, I'm not going to ever do anything else. And, some people give up. You can't ever give up. You got to continue to keep going towards your goals.
Yeah. Now, somebody listening right now is saying, gosh, I've got this goal, but I've been really working at it. I've been chugging at it, and I just feel like it's time to pivot away. What would be, your motivation to them if they are in that moment, right? How do they get back on the horse tomorrow, one more day, and see if they can make more progress towards that goal?
I just think you have to take baby steps. I
Mm,
think depends on, I mean, yeah, your personality. I always say this, I'm a Leo, so I'm like very goal driven.
yeah.
And I've been like that since I was a little kid. My mom was always like, where'd you come from? I mean, because like I knew from a young age that, I wanted to be more and I wanted to be, but everyone has goals and dreams. I
Yeah.
just think that you have to take it one step at a time. We may have setbacks and, I mean, people fight with depression or other things that come in their lives or circumstantial things. But I think never give up on yourself though. It
Mm,
doesn't matter your age either. I mean,
yeah.
I was in the business at young, like, at 18, 17, and then, now I'm older and middle age. So it's like, but I'm still doing things that I love. And it's actually, I've had a few magazine covers and all this, and I'm like, it's actually, people aren't looking at it as a negative to be middle age anymore,
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
can be like a goal and like be an inspiration. And that's what I want to be. I want to be inspirational to, to the younger teens and 20-year-olds. So they know that they don't have to give up and that they can continue to work on their goals, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's great. So, as you're kind of finishing up with the pageantry run, you start working in the bridal business in the wedding world. So, talk a little bit about that business and getting started there.
Okay, yeah, well, I had a little stint where I actually worked with a radio station,
Okay.
and I did like a couple shows and that kind of thing. So they knew my background and everything, so they had me produce all these, bridal shows, and it was like, Super 102 bridal shows, and so, it was a lot of pressure, but I did it well, and it was like, everyone from everywhere in West Virginia would come. It's because I was from Charleston, the capital, and we would, I selected the models, it got everything in order, the whole production and the show. So
Yeah.
it was a really good experience, and yeah, and so I took my history of what I've done. So I basically taught the girls how to talk, and then we did a bridal fashion show for potential prize. So it was cool. And after that, I also worked with barbers, and I was instructor for them, and worked for the malls where I would do fashion shows, and I would MC and instruct the girls for, different aspects of hair, makeup, confidence, and then etiquette, and to also walk and talk.
Yeah,
So that's why I say, yeah, it's all, you know what the funny thing is my life, yeah, dancing is not, like the whole beauty industry that I've been in,
yeah,
but it all sort of goes together with goals. So,
yes.
and with, it all has blended and got me to where I am today.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's super important because oftentimes I feel like we learn something in one facet of our life and we forget that the lessons that we're learning and the skills that we're building translate over into many other areas of our life. And I think what you just mentioned is that's exactly true, right? What you were learning in dance, attention to detail, good form, whatever it is, that helps carry
Right.
over into pageantry. Not directly, but there are some parts of it that end up helping us there. So maybe do talk about the skill set and how that helps us accomplish goals, even in other areas that aren't directly correlated to where we had been.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. It's just you take anything, just like we're talking about all the things I've done, the dancing and the dedication and everything. You can put that in anything, whether it's, being you want to be an entrepreneur or a CEO of a company. Well, then you take your many steps to get there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be a CEO like that. I mean, you're gonna have to like have knowledge, you're gonna have to go to school, get your basics down. I mean, there's steps and everything. And I think that's the problem sometimes with people. They think that you can go from here
Mm.
to here without in between steps.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm here to say, yeah, you've got to take some steps. It's hard work. It's not. Sometimes people are like, oh, you've done so much and this and that. It's my inner spirit. It's trying to always have those little goals and those little stepping towards and going up, going up, going up. I'm still going up. And it's like I'm middle aged and I still have a lot left in me. Are you kidding me? So
Yeah.
it's like, I still have my goals.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I love about what you just said is oftentimes we see where someone was and we see where they end up, and we forget that there's all these progressions in between. The important thing to know is that we're all going to go through those progressions, but we can control how quickly we go through those, right?
Exactly.
If I'm on the third step and I get knocked down back to step two, some people will sit on step two for a very long time before they're willing to take the next leap to step three. Other people say, crap, I got knocked down from step three to step two. I better get to step three as quickly as possible. And so they can progress through that even quicker.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
there's definitely steps in life. So
yeah. So as your time in West Virginia is going on, eventually you decide, you know what, it's time to head to the opposite side of the US. So talk a
I
little bit about
know.
the catalyst
Gosh.
to leave West Virginia. And that's probably pretty difficult in regards to, if family's there, friends there, and you're, moving to a new area. So
Mhm.
talk a little bit about why the move and maybe the difficulty of leaving what we know to go to something that's maybe a little bit less known.
Right. And I feel like at the time my life at the time, it was back in 2010 when I moved here. And I mean, like I said, I had sort of done everything I could possibly, in West Virginia with, my maxing out because I already had done pageants and the modeling and everything. And I actually had like a 16-month calendar where I had that, and it actually benefited the West Virginia Veterans Association. That was back in 2010. And so I was doing, all that, and like I felt like I needed to expand anymore. That's what I said, keep growing, keep
Yeah.
moving. When my brother lived in San Diego, and so I ended up, getting like a part-time job with modeling, doing model, like model spokesperson, right?
Yeah.
So I was skincare and different things like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move. I mean, I had went through a divorce. I had 3 little kids, and I just did it. I just moved to San Diego and tried to get them as just as I could. And their father ended up coming and working like an hour away. So we had a big plan. It was all good. But then, and we also had a bigger plan of my parents were getting ready to retire. So they ended up moving out here. Now, granted, my mom's one of 8 kids and my dad one of 5. I have family all on the East Coast. So it's like, it's a little different just to have my mom and dad now, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my 2 nephews, and of course my 3 kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I do miss them. I miss my family because it was a big one.
Yeah.
But I do have my immediate family here, and that keeps me going. And yeah, they knew that, I wanted to expand everything, and I've done exactly what I set out to do. I started with doing things like that, just some spokesmodel kind of things. And then I had done commercials in the past, and had postcards in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and the calendars, the commercial end. I was on a billboard in Vegas, on the way to Vegas. My kids actually saw it. They're like, they were like, they weren't with me, and they were like, oh, look, there's mom, so it was sort of cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I've fought hard, and I've done everything on my own pretty much since I've been to California.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And then I moved to Temecula, which is in between San Diego and LA,
LA,
which was
yeah.
good because I could still travel. It's like an hour and a half to LA, an hour to San Diego. And it's a really good position to be in to work, to work here, and to be able to go for the business part as well, being in the biz. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I think for a lot of people, they have aspirations to do something and they find it hard enough to do it where they're at with the connections they do have. And here
Mhm.
you are going to the entire opposite side of the country. I mean, you may have known someone other than your brother, but minimal, network there, and yet
You're
you're able
right.
to start creating a network and connection. So talk a little bit about, cultivating relationships in a spot where you're brand new to, you're fresh to, and how you did that.
Right. Well, like I said, I mean, it started with the whole modeling. I was networking too, but it was in San Diego, and I realized San Diego wasn't going to be the place that I needed to be. I needed to be like closer to Los Angeles if I wanted, to pursue more for anything with, any commercials, movies, whatever, modeling. So yeah, I just networked through that, and met several people. Then for a while, I was a publisher for Renaissance Publishing Company, and I met some people through that as well, publishing books and stuff. But and then I met a few people in Orange County, LA. Just there's like just a few people here, a few people there, and my network just kept growing. And yeah, and so I ended up being in some fashion shows in Orange County, and yeah, so it's doing well. Everything's great.
Yes, that's great. Now, as you're doing that, eventually you get to start starring in some movies. So talk a little bit about being in the film side of it. I'm sure that's a little bit different than the modeling side and whatnot. And
Mhm.
also meeting Brandy, our mutual connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, in the past, like I said, I've done commercials when I was in West Virginia,
Yeah.
but I had never done any commercials here. So I was doing the modeling and things. So, but yeah, I just had Brandy Roderick. She's one of my best friends, and we both live here in the same area. A guy, actually a manager of a Mexican restaurant, sort of put us together. We're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so much alike, and you're in the biz, that kind of thing. And then we had a lot in common, so we've had a great friendship over the years, supported each other. And so yeah, she actually starred in the movie. It was Ace and the Christmas Miracle. It was just released last year. I have a supporting role. Yeah, and I was a housewife, like a glam girl, celebrity housewife with my dog, which I don't know where my dog is right now. I have a little Maltese, and she's so cute. But yeah, that was my first experience, and it was great. I loved it. So I want to continue to do this and grow with it. And I have a few things that I'll be working on this year in 2023. So I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. So on the production side and being in movies versus, the modeling and the commercials, what was the toughest transition to be able to start, mastering that piece of it versus what you had been doing?
Um, well, I mean, I guess with anything, with commercials, it's just a few lines, not too
Yeah,
many. I
yeah,
guess the whole memorization of like, like even for my role, I had like 7, 8 pages to read, right?
yeah.
So and to memorize and get the right inflections and all that kind of stuff. So just the whole transition with all that. Now being in front of the camera, I don't have an issue with that at all based on my history.
Yeah.
Any of that was fine, but I did really well. I mean, that's what even the director, they were like, oh my gosh, you did so great, this is your first one, I can't believe it. So yeah, I memorized everything. I didn't have to have anybody help me, so it was perfect. So
That's
probably memorizing the 7 or whatever I said, 7 pages.
yes.
And that was just for the supporting role. But actually, for 2023, I'm going to have a lead role, so it'll be even more. So that's going to up my game, to the next level. It's actually going to be like a comedy, so I'm excited about that.
How amazing. Now, I
Mhm.
know another popular show that you had been on was the Gown and Out Beverly Hills. Talk a little bit about how that came to be and kind of your role there and what that's looked like for you.
Oh yeah, and Paul and Patrick Simpson, they have Gown Out in Beverly Hills. I was at one of their fashion events, like Fashion 88. I was there with Adrienne Maloof, which was on a former housewife of Beverly Hills, and several other celebrities. It was a red carpet event. And so they actually filmed during that time us when we were socializing and having a red carpet with a big event. So that's really what it was. It was like
Yeah.
it's a reality show.
Yep.
So and I had a friendship with them. I had known them for a long time, and yeah, so that's how I got on there. So it was basically it was actually real. I mean, reality. I
Yeah.
was actually at the event.
Yeah. Now, something that I think has clearly been true in your life, and it's interesting to just hear you talk about it, is the more we say yes to things, that just opens doors for us, right? If we're putting ourselves out there, we can have these connections, we can meet people, we can see what doors can come from that. So, to somebody listening right now who's maybe, wanting to step into a different area or they're hoping to get into a new avenue, talk to about saying yes and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't be shy about it. You just got to do it. I mean, and I know it's easier for some people than others to just do it,
Yeah.
but just if you can just like push yourself a little bit and get and like you said, say yes to opportunity. I mean, not everything will be perfect, but it's like everything is a learning experience and growth. So that's with me. I mean, I've been very blessed, and I feel like God is. I'm a believer, and
Yeah.
I believe He's blessed me. I'm just a little girl from West Virginia that is in California. That's been in a nationwide movie and continuing to grow, and was a model. And I mean, He's just blessed me my whole life, and with 3 beautiful kids, and yeah, I just feel very blessed.
Absolutely. Now, I also think, for some people, we grow up in households or in environments where we aren't able to maybe see what's possible, or we can see what's possible because we see other people doing it, but we don't believe that that could be us. So for you, as you reflect back and think back to, yeah, the little girl growing up in West Virginia, now growing or, living in California, being in movies, being on billboards, having your kids see it. What
Yeah.
where does that kind of come from for you? Is, that belief of, hey, what's possible, what's out there, and then pursuing that?
Yeah, like I said, for me personally, I just knew when I was a little girl. I mean, I knew I just wanted to be more and be bigger, and I had passion and desire for everything I did. Whatever I did, I worked hard and made it happen, no
Yeah.
matter what that was. And I've been like that since I was a kid. I tell this story. My mom just laughs sometimes. So I said, she's like, what child are you? Because I've always like been out there and, in the social media now and everything. But when I was younger, my brother, I'll never forget, for Thanksgiving, we made, decorations for the elementary school. So he did camo, and he ended up being, he's working, for the Navy or whatever,
Yeah.
and on, Point Loma. And mine was like glitzy, glam, turkey, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
that's when I was like a tiny kid. And she goes, you know what? That right there just shows you that is what my brother and I both,
Yeah.
aspire to be. It's like, as a kid. Anyway, so I think you have to, whatever that is, whether it's being in, the business or a model, all this, or just, like my brother being in the military and being a manager and all what he does. It doesn't have to be just in the business. It's like whatever. I mean, we're from humble beginnings, and I'm, like I said, I'm from West Virginia. I mean, I was just a girl with big dreams, and I just tried to make them happen.
Yes.
So,
And you're
and
making it
I think
happen.
for everyone else, same thing. It's like just, I mean, I didn't have fancy things or anything like that. I mean, I was, like I said, I was, my mom, my dad was a blue collar worker, trucker. My mom stayed home to take care of us.
Yeah.
I lived, very humbly. We got our first house like when I was like in sixth grade, I want to say, like a house.
Yeah.
We had, been in trailers, that kind of thing. So that's why I'm saying, I mean, it doesn't matter your finances, all that. It's what's inside. It's
Mm,
what's inside. And I think even being that way, and then when you have more, you appreciate it even more. Mm.
absolutely. Now, I would imagine at some point in your life, and it could be before you moved to California, or it could be before and after, there were people that said, "Listen, what are you thinking? What are you doing?" You know, and sometimes those people are even people that are close to us. And I think
Mhm.
oftentimes in their mind, they're trying to protect us from failure. They're protecting us from getting hurt, right? Whatever you want to call it. But in reality, what ends up happening is oftentimes it limits what we believe we're capable of. So for you, were there any folks in your life that said, "What are you doing? What are you thinking?" that you had to kind of overcome their comments?
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think. I mean, I've always had support. Like I said, my mom, especially, I probably closer to my mom's family. I love my dad's family
Yeah.
too, but probably closer to my mom's family. Everyone, my family always supports everyone at what they do. So no, I've always had support. I mean, there might be some like, I don't know, talking behind my back. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know, but it's like, or for example, like I want to say, like one time I had an article out, and it was in West Virginia. They misquoted me, which that happens in the media all the time. And I've never said anything, that is against West Virginia or anything. I love the people there. I'm
Yeah.
always very supportive of them. And just outgrowing what I was doing doesn't mean I outgrew the people. I love the
Right.
people.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So maybe at one point there was maybe people that thought that, but but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I will tell you this, not family, but I remember, yeah, there was like, people when I did the 16-month calendar, I had little kids at the time, and they're like, oh, I can't believe she would do that. And I
Mm,
mean, people were talking about me and like, and I had very tasteful bathing suits. I mean, yeah, bikinis and some one pieces, but nothing, crazy. And it was like, oh wow, because it's more conservative, right?
yeah,
But anyway, but I just never let any, I call them the naysayers. I never worry about that. I just move on and go about my business and do what I know I'm meant to do and meant to be. So,
absolutely. Well, Melissa, are there any other pivotal moments as you kind of reflect back on your story that you'd like to highlight, or, kind of those who knew moments that you'd like to highlight for us?
I guess the highlights for me would be just like I said, I want to be an inspiration to
Yeah.
the younger generation for women, and I mean for girls.
Yeah.
It's just so hard for them now because I didn't live with the social media and the scrutiny and every little thing. It was like I did what I was going to do, took my pictures, did my catwalks, did whatever, and it would be like in the paper or like somebody writing it up, or something like that. It
Yeah.
was nothing like it is now. I just think it's a lot of pressure, and I think that they need to, and I just want to leave an impression with the younger girls that they can always have goals and they can reach them no matter where they are in life, what background they're from, what state they're from, or which country or whatever, but just
Yeah.
to always have that fire and that passion and just to, go for their dreams.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, Melissa, thanks so much for sharing your story, and excited to see what the movie in 2023 brings, and
No.
movies into the future.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks for having me.